Well. Looks like we have another Ace Bailey situation. Another player that apparently doesn't want to go to Utah and prefers to come to Washington. Despite recent chatter about Peterson only meeting with Washington and skipping other teams, ESPN still predicts the Utah Jazz will pick him in their latest mock drafts. Why could this man be skipping out on workouts with other teams and only working out for Washington? Let's find out, man. There's also a few other rumors surrounding Giannis, and Bleacher Report also dropped another mock draft that included a trade between Cleveland and Atlanta Hawks for the number 8th pick, with Donovan Mitchell going to the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, so this is the one article that made the most sense to me, and it's coming down to two conclusions on why this may be happening, if it is true. The first one says, this is the most logical one. It's the most logical one. Why would he be pulling an Ace Bailey? The first thought is the Wizards made a draft night promise to Darren Peterson. Up to this point, most of the noise around the league suggested that Dybantsa was the leader in the clubhouse to be selected by the Wizards with the top pick. However, Peterson's decision to shut down workouts makes things interesting. Perhaps the Wizards officially made their decision after the Kansas guard workout and made a promise to him that they'd select him with the number 1 overall pick. Given his potential talent and projected spot in the draft order before the start of his lone year with the Jayhawks, that wouldn't be a total surprise. Still, the questions regarding his fit alongside Trae Young in the DMV, especially after he made it clear he preferred to play point guard at the next level, make the likelihood of the Wizards granting that promise doubtful. Okay, so the story how it goes in my head is the Utah Jazz have already worked out Cameron Boozer, and they planned on working out AJ Dybantsa and Darren Peterson within the same week. And apparently AJ Dybantsa kept his promise to work out with Utah Jazz, but DP ends up canceling his workout. Does this ring a bell? This is insane, man. What is the other likelihood? This is probably the one that is the most true, because we've seen Darren Peterson and AJ Dybantsa kind of go at each other, and they've been competing with each other for such a long time. We've seen AJ verbally say, I want to be number 1. I want to go number 1. People think he was upset about the Jazz not getting number 1. That he doesn't care. These guys don't care who's number 1. They just want to be picked number 1. It's a pride thing. It's a hooper mindset thing. You want to be the number 1 pick, especially over the guy that's people are saying is better than you and this and that. You want to be number 1 and show everybody why. That's what it is. So this right here says that Peterson is trying to force his way to number 1. Okay, this is probably what his camp's doing. It's probably no disrespect to the Jazz organization or their fan base. It's probably like, yo, I'm the best player in this draft. I would love to go to Utah, but Utah, you guys don't have the number 1 pick. Washington, you guys have the number 1 pick. I am the pick. I am the person you should pick. You should pick me over AJ. Peterson's confidence in himself is clear, and whether the Wizards promise him to be number 1 or not, it's obvious that the Kansas product believes he is the best player in the draft. The playmaker likely knows that if he doesn't land in Washington, he won't slide far, and if he fell past number 2, it's safe to say the Memphis Grizzlies would jump at the opportunity to take him number 3. That said, Peterson may just be trying to put his hat in the ring to be selected with the top pick by showing the Wizards he's only interested in landing in DC. Will that strategy work? Probably not. Regardless, Peterson won't have to worry about a major draft night slide given his skill set, so why no attempt to force himself where he doesn't want to land? And I also wonder how that's working out for the Utah Jazz, that they worked out Cameron Boozer before AJ Dybantsa and Darren Peterson, especially with Carlos Boozer, Cameron Boozer's dad, working in their front office. I wonder how much input he's having into the Jazz actually, thinking about drafting Cameron Boozer. Now, the fit, we already know the fit just doesn't make sense. It would be atrocious. It's already atrocious enough. And maybe Darren Peterson is looking at that situation like, man, that organization doesn't necessarily make sense for me. Keontae George just finally broke out last year. We've been waiting for him to break out for quite some time since he joined the league, and he finally succeeded last year. Maybe Darren Peterson's looking at that situation like, man, I don't want to get in the middle if he can necessarily play off guard if I'm the lead guard. Maybe he's looking at the Washington Wizards situation like, okay, I only have to play with Trae Young for a year if he just opts in and they don't sign an extension. And if he does sign an extension, I get to play with Trae Young and learn from him and eventually take over for him in the next 2 to 3 years versus continuing to battle with Keontae George for that top lead spot in Utah. Maybe he's looking at a situation like that, similar to why Ace Bailey was looking at coming to Washington versus coming to Utah. And honestly, man, Utah, they have no business being as bad as they are. They were clearly tanking very badly, but they've got talented people on their roster. But obviously they're in the Western Conference, and I'm going to make a video about, man, if I'm one of these young guys, I would rather be getting drafted to an Eastern Conference team anyway. And you never know how deep these people are thinking about their careers. I would rather be getting drafted to the Wizards knowing that if I'm in the Western Conference, I'm going to have to see Ant-Man, Wemby, SGA, and God knows what other Western Conference team that's going to come up for the next 5 to 10 years of my career. No, put me in the Eastern Conference, man, where I got a chance to be legendary, where I got a chance to possibly go to the finals in the next 2 to 3 years if I'm in the right situation. But yeah, that's what I'm also thinking about. And could Darren Peterson not wanting to work out for Utah make Utah be like, you know, we're not doing this again. Let's go ahead and get Cam Boozer. And then the Memphis Grizzlies are looking at a situation where they're like, yo, just go ahead and, we got Darren Peterson at number 3. Let's rock out, man. And then Ja Morant, you good is gone for sure. Maybe he can experiment as a point guard if they get rid of Ja Morant on the Grizzlies. Or maybe things change with Trae Young's situation in Washington if they view him as their pick. Maybe they tell Trae Young, just opt in, man, and we'll see you. I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. It's going to be very, very interesting on draft night. The other thing that's popping off crazy that's going to have a big domino effect is the situation with Giannis. And this post right here saying that Giannis reportedly looking for Miami amid trade rumors. And the biggest trade rumor I've seen is the situation where they're talking about Boston sending Jaylen Brown to Milwaukee in a Giannis deal. And then, Giannis and Milwaukee has that 10th pick. They would most definitely pick that to possibly draft someone like Yaxel Lindenborg or someone to replace Giannis and help out Jaylen Brown. And once again, we saw Jaylen Brown lead a team for the most part without his number 1 running mate, Jason Tatum, to the number 2 seed in the East. So maybe Boston is like, maybe Milwaukee is saying, hey, give us Jaylen Brown. Maybe he can uplift this team if we put the right pieces around him versus Giannis, who's been sort of a distraction, with sort of a prima donna attitude towards, straddling that fence between wanting to stay with the team and get traded. It is what it is, man. This is it. This is the year. They need to do it. But I could definitely see a situation where Miami swoops in and offers a big deal. Looks like they have a pretty good package surrounding Kelly Ware, Yakuchonis, and most likely Tyler Hero, and then probably throwing in some picks. They got enough pieces to give up for Giannis and then still be competitive versus Portland. Portland, they have a lot of pieces to give up too. But I don't know if they would be as competitive if they gave up all of those pieces for Giannis. I think Miami has a better chance of being more successful. And then Boston, giving up Jaylen Brown mitigates some of the other pieces that you would possibly have to give up for Giannis. And it will be more of an even kill, in my opinion, or closer to an even kill as far as teams getting some value in return. Not saying that the other 2 teams aren't as valuable, but you want to stay on the same trajectory or go beyond your trajectory if you're making this trade. You don't want to take a step backwards, even if you're getting a superstar, if you don't have the depth. And the NBA is all about depth now. You're risking that just by bringing in a superstar. But the biggest domino effect with that is once a Giannis deal goes through, so many other deals can go through. So many other conversations start happening because teams are trying to figure out, okay, we don't have Giannis. Who can I get to make a run for a championship? And we're seeing that the championships are up for grabs. Anybody can get a championship in this era of basketball. Anybody. If you got depth, if you got longevity and everyone stays healthy and you got the right players and the right pieces and people that can get buckets on your team and know how to hustle and play ball, anybody can get a ring, man. Anybody can get a ring. And it's going to be a huge domino effect once this Giannis situation clears, and I just can't wait for it to clear. And then there's going to be a lot of conversations around Anthony Davis and another situation with Donovan Mitchell, which brings us to the last segment, where Bleacher Report made another mock draft and included a trade where the Cleveland Cavaliers make a trade for Mikael Brown Jr. with the Atlanta Hawks, who have New Orleans pick with that trade from last year that they made when they had Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen and all of that. And we already know the situation with New Orleans. That's a whole another day and another video. But yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know if I really see Atlanta making this deal. And I love Donovan Mitchell, but he's also shown that maybe he isn't suited to be a number one option. And I guess he would still technically be a number one option in Atlanta, but I don't see his situation in Atlanta being no better than the one that he had in Cleveland. Maybe a lot better. No, probably the same defensively. Maybe a lot better offensively, but you may be taking a step back defensively. And a player like Donovan Mitchell, you need defensive players behind you. And you would possibly be giving up Onyeka Okongwu, Zachary Rishache, Jonathan Kuminga, sign and trade pick for Donovan Mitchell. Nah, if I'm Atlanta, if I'm the Atlanta Hawks, I'm staying put. I'm drafting Mikael Brown Jr. or one of these point guards that land. It all depends on who sees who as a star. Right here, Daymar going to Los Angeles. They basically they traded away Zubac, and then they got the replacement on the way. And then any of the Pacers fans don't have to feel as bad. Like, hey, they got a Daymar. You guys got the future version of a Daymar already. So you guys are trying to win now next year. And from there, it's like, okay, Brooklyn, who do you see as your running mate, your long-term star guard? You already drafted these other guards last year, and none of them really panned out to be star potential. You may see Darius Acuff having more of a star potential, and he can probably play next to Igor Dimin. Igor Dimin can guard the twos. It's a little bit long. Darius Acuff doesn't have to focus on being a playmaker. You already got Igor Dimin playmaking. There's Acuff's focuses on being a scorer, then you figure out what you want to do with Michael Porter Jr. Makes sense if the Nets took Darius Acuff over Wagler. And then Sacramento, they don't care. Whoever's there, they're probably going with Michael. They're taking whatever star they want to. Braden Burns to Dallas just makes the most sense for everybody. I see him being more of a Jamal Murray type player, man. I think he has a lot more potential than people are saying. But yeah, I think Giannis deal is going to start the domino effect of so many things happening within the draft and within trades and with other conversations and news, man. And I just wanted to come on here and talk about a few of those things. Let me know what you guys are wanting your team to do, what makes sense to you guys, what's just noise, what's just fluff, and how do you guys see all of these scenarios panning out, especially the Darren Peterson situation, the Giannis situation, and possibly any other trade scenarios. Thanks for rocking out with me, and peace.